Imagine standing on the battlefield, the scorching sun beating down on golden sands, the rhythmic pounding of war drums filling the air. Before you, thousands of warriors stand ready, cloaked in the legacy of a kingdom that has thrived for centuries. At the center of it all, atop a warhorse, is a woman unlike any other. Her gaze is sharp, her presence commanding. She is Queen Amanirenas, the warrior mystic of Kush, the woman who defied Rome, the empire that sought to swallow the world. But how did she do it? How did a one-eyed queen from a seemingly distant land challenge the most powerful empire in history and win? This is the untold story of Queen Amanirenas, a leader, a warrior, and a mystic whose name has been whispered through the annals of time, yet rarely given the recognition it deserves. Before we dive into Amanirenas' story, we need to understand the world she was born into. The kingdom of Kush was no ordinary civilization. It was a land of wealth, wisdom, and war, with its own unique spiritual and political power. Kush, located in what is now modern-day Sudan, was a civilization that thrived for over 1,000 years. Known for its rich deposits of gold and its formidable warriors, it was both a rival and a successor to ancient Egypt. But Kush was not simply a shadow of its northern neighbor. It was a powerhouse in its own right, with a deep-rooted spiritual tradition that blended Egyptian gods with its own deities. At the heart of this kingdom were its kandakes, or queens, who often ruled with the same authority as kings. These were no mere figureheads, they were warriors, diplomats, and priestesses embodying both earthly and divine power. And among them, one name stands above the rest: Amanirenas. Amanirenas was born into royalty, but her path was anything but easy. As a young woman, she was trained in combat, politics, and the sacred rituals of Kushite spirituality. Unlike the queens of Rome or Greece, who were often secluded, Kushite queens were expected to lead from the front. They wielded weapons, commanded armies, and performed sacred rites. Legend has it that Amanirenas was gifted with visions, dreams that foretold the fate of her people. She was more than just a queen. She was a mystic, a conduit between the gods and the battlefield. Her people believed she was chosen to protect Kush from the ever-expanding shadow of Rome, and then that shadow arrived. The year was 25 BCE. Rome, fresh from conquering Egypt, turned its hungry gaze southward. The Emperor Augustus wanted control over Kush's rich resources, particularly its gold mines. But Rome underestimated its opponent. The war began with a Roman invasion of northern Kush. The Romans, led by General Aelius Gallus, assumed they could crush the Kushites as easily as they had subdued Egypt. They were wrong. Amanirenas wasted no time. She rallied her forces, archers, cavalry, and battle-hardened warriors trained in the deserts of Nubia. What happened next was unprecedented. With her own hand, Amanirenas led her troops into battle. She struck with such ferocity that she not only repelled the Romans, but also launched a counter-invasion. The Kushites stormed into Roman-controlled Egypt, capturing key cities, including Syene, which is modern-day Aswan. The Roman governor was caught off guard and forced to retreat. Then came the ultimate act of defiance. The Kushites, under Amanirenas' orders, marched into Roman territories and did something unthinkable. They defaced statues of Emperor Augustus, cutting off his head and taking it back to Kush as a war trophy. It was a statement. Kush would not bow. War, however, always demands a price. During one of the battles, Amanirenas suffered a severe injury. She lost an eye. But even this did not stop her. With her face marked by battle and her spirit unbroken, she continued to fight, now seen as a living embodiment of divine resilience. Rome, frustrated and unable to fully subdue Kush, eventually sought peace. A treaty was signed in 22 BCE, allowing Kush to maintain its sovereignty. Unlike most of Rome's enemies, Kush was not annexed. It remained free, its culture intact. Amanirenas had won. Her story did not end on the battlefield. In her later years, she continued to guide her people, strengthening their spiritual and military traditions. Her legacy was not just one of war, but of wisdom, an understanding that true power lies not only in swords, but in spirit. So why isn't Amanirenas a household name? Why is her story buried beneath layers of forgotten history? The answer lies in the way history is told. Much of what we know about ancient civilizations comes from Roman and Greek sources, which often downplayed or ignored the victories of their adversaries. But Kush left behind its own records, temples, inscriptions, and oral traditions that tell a different story. And slowly historians and archaeologists are beginning to piece together the truth. Amanirenas was not just a queen. She was a symbol of resistance, a leader who stood against one of the greatest empires in history and emerged victorious. She was a warrior, a mystic, a legend. Why does Queen Amanirenas' story matter now, over 2,000 years later? Because history is not just about the past, it shapes the present. Amanirenas' legacy is a reminder that power does not always come from conquest, but from resilience, that even the mightiest empires can be challenged, that leadership is not about dominance, but about the strength to stand for what is right. Her story belongs not just to Sudan, not just to Africa, but to the world. She is a figure of defiance, courage, and wisdom, a warrior mystic whose name should be spoken with the same reverence as any great ruler in history. So the next time you hear about the unstoppable force of Rome, remember this: there was once a queen who stood in its way, and she did not fall. If you found this video enlightening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this untold story. Leave a comment below on what other forgotten figures from history you'd like to see covered. Until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, and remember, history is written by those who dare to defy it.